Y'all scared to see with you? We're not making a scene. We're being friends. We're being friends.
Stop.
Or what? What do we do?
What the fuck you gonna do?
We're trying to be friends.
Oh yeah.
It's a pig parade. It's a pig parade.
Back up. Nobody wants you here.
Oh, they brought me for the performance. They came.
Oh, gang.
Now the cops run.
Hold on. I'm gonna drink most of my water and I'm gonna get it. She's wilding in front of the cop.
Dodge. You want to pour paint on me?
I will.
Pour paint on me.
Fuck 12! Yo, let me get a fuck 12! Oh yeah, let me get that louder. Fuck 12! Cops and bastards! All cops and bastards! From Palestine to Mexico! All the walls have got to go! From Palestine to Mexico! All the walls have got to go! From Mexico to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine.
Stop the U.S. war machine!
From Palestine to the Philippines.
From Palestine to the Philippines!
Stop the U.S. war machine.
Stop the U.S. war machine!
U.S. imperialists.
U.S. imperialists!
Number one terrorist.
Number one terrorist!
U.S. imperialists.
U.S. imperialists!
Number one terrorist.
Number one terrorist!
And we will free Palestine.
We will free Palestine!
Within our lifetime.
Within our lifetime!
Resistance is justified.
Resistance is justified!
When people are colonized.
People are colonized!
Resistance is justified.
Resistance is justified!
When people are occupied.
People are occupied!
From Palestine to Mexico.
From Palestine to Mexico!
All the walls have got to go.
All the walls have got to go!
From Palestine to Mexico.
From Palestine to Mexico!
All the walls have got to go.
All the walls have got to go!
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina!
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 Anti-capitalista.
Anti-capitalista!
Anti-capitalista.
Anti-capitalista!
Viva, viva Palestina.
Viva, viva Palestina!
Anti-capitalista.
Anti-capitalista!
We are the people too. Say it louder, three. We want justice for our people. One. We are the people too. Say it louder, three. We want justice for our people. One. We are the people too. Say it louder, three. We want justice for
over here to build community. We're over here to promote intercommunalism. Thank y'all for coming out to Sunset Park. This is the barrio where Mexicanos Unidos does our work. Now, Mexicanos Unidos, we organize on a national line, on a nationalist line, but don't get it confused. Many people get afraid when I say that. They get afraid because they envision white nationalism. White nationalism seeks to denigrate and to put down other communities in order to uplift themselves and their people and their rights and their privileges. Mexicanos Unidos, we promote our history, our true history, so that they can see that we are all connected, that our struggles are all connected all over the world, from Palestine to Mexico. That's why it's important. We, as Mexicanos Unidos, cannot be allies for other people, for the Black liberation movement, for the Palestinian movement, for the trans movement. We cannot be allies for you, accomplices even, if we do not know our true selves. And that's a mission for all of you out there today, is also to understand your true selves. Know your history, know your roots. It'll keep you grounded, it'll give you power. So today, we have a few speakers, y'all, from a range of struggles that are here to share, to show solidarity with our community and with the working class community worldwide. And the first speaker that we have the honor of introducing is our representatives from Semillas Collective. If you don't know them, you're missing out.
Buenas tardes, compañeras, compañeros, compañeres. My name is Daisy. I'm here with my compañera Sabrina from Semillas. We're also part of La Red Sexta Grietas del Norte, which is the national network of Zapatista adherentes. I'm here with my compa Corbin. We want to thank everyone. We've been selling Zapatista Cafe. The Zapatista communities continue to be under attack, and yet they continue to be our teachers that continue to remind us that no fake leftist government is going to be our savior, and that only through autonomy are we going to not only stay alive, but rise and thrive. Dedicamos este rezo, we dedicate our prayers and our energy a quienes han muerto en la custodia del Servicio de Inmigración de los Estados Unidos, asesinados en la frontera o separados de sus familias por el mal gobierno. A las mujeres esterilizadas forzadamente, vidas indígenas y afrodescendientes, vidas negras, vidas palestinas, asesinadas mujeres indígenas desaparecidas, desaparecidos, desaparecides. A todas las almas que los sistemas patriarcales, colonizadores, represivos, capitalistas, las encarcelan, torturan y despojan vía megaproyectos, el neoliberalismo, el capitalismo, gentrification. Vamos a florecer.
In English, to those who have died in ICE custody, killed at the border or separated from family by the U.S. government, to the Black and Indigenous lives killed, to all the women forcefully sterilized, and to missing and murdered Indigenous women, to all the souls who continue to be imprisoned, tortured, and displaced by patriarchal, colonist, and oppressive capitalist systems via mega projects, we will flourish.
Responsabilizamos al gobierno de los Estados Unidos, los yanquis, el imperialismo, por cometer crímenes de lesa humanidad ejecutados en la frontera por el Servicio de Inmigración y Control de Aduanas, ICE. Brutalidad extrema, violencia sexual, el asesinato de bebés, la esterilización forzada de los vientres de las mujeres.
The U.S. government must be held accountable for its crimes against humanity executed at the border and at ICE detention facilities, from extreme brutality and sexual violence to the deaths of innocent infants and the forced sterilization of Indigenous women.
Andamos en los mismos caminos migratorios que los ancestros, las ancestras, caminaron libremente.
We walk the same migrant paths that our ancestors walked freely.
Dedicamos esta movilización y este día a todas las papalotzin, los mariposas, que siembran mullos, semillas de vida.
For all the papalotzin butterflies who sow muy seeds of life.
Our existence, nuestra existencia es resistencia. We invite all of you to repeat and amplify la palabra zapatista, zapatista chant and word. Mic check. La realidad de lo que necesitamos. Tierra para cosechar el futuro.
Tierra para cosechar el futuro.
The reality of what... Land to harvest the future.
Salud para espantar la muerte.
Salud para espantar la muerte.
Health to scare death away.
Health to scare death away.
Techo para abrigar la esperanza.
Techo para abrigar la esperanza.
A roof to keep our hope warm.
A roof to keep our hopes warm.
Trabajo para dignificar nuestras manos.
Trabajo para dignificar nuestras manos.
Work to dignify our hands.
Educación para alimentar el pensamiento.
Educación para alimentar el pensamiento.
Education to nourish our minds.
Education to nourish our minds.
Autonomía porque la autonomía es la vida.
Autonomía porque la autonomía es la vida.
Autonomy because autonomy is life.
Y la sumisión es la muerte.
Y la sumisión es la muerte.
To submit is death.
La revolución se acaba cuando se entrega el poder al gobierno.
Se acaba cuando se entrega el poder al gobierno.
The revolution ends when you give the power to the state.
Desde Gaza a Chiapas ganaremos esta lucha, cueste lo que cueste. De norte a sur, de este a oeste, ganaremos esta lucha, cueste lo que cueste. De norte a sur, de este a oeste, ganaremos esta lucha, cueste lo que cueste. Desde Nueva York, solidaridad.
De la raza centroamericana, del Caribe, muchas gracias por estar aquí en solidaridad. Nosotros somos internacionalistas y siempre enseñaremos solidaridad con los pueblos de Puerto Rico, que merece ser libre, con la República Dominicana, a donde están oprimiendo también al pueblo negro. Pero no seríamos internacionalistas realistas si no apoyamos a México lindo. Y aquí tengo la oportunidad de presentarle a ustedes el papá de uno de los 43. Y si ustedes no saben, if you don't know about the 43 of Ayotzinapa, you gotta get behind it, because they've been suffering against military police violence for over years and years, ever since the PRI stole the revolution in Mexico. Okay, so I have the honor of introducing the dad of one of the 43. Por favor, que nos brinde las palabras. A round of applause.
Gracias a los organizadores por dar estos breves minutos. Ayotzinapa no está cansada, está herida. La palabra solidaridad para todos nuestros hermanos palestinos, hondureños, centroamericanos, caribeños, por todas las injusticias. Sabemos que Ayotzinapa ha sido abrazada por muchos países y Ayotzinapa también abraza a las injusticias. A 81 meses aquí estamos de pie por todos los desaparecidos, que no solamente son mexicanos, son más de 300,000 desaparecidos que tenemos en México, incluyendo centroamericanos, caribeños y diferentes partes del mundo. Gracias por esa gran solidaridad que nos han brindado. No vamos a descansar. Como padre de Jorge Antonio Tizapa, no voy a descansar. Por él, por sus compañeros y por todos los desaparecidos. Porque vivos se los llevaron. Porque vivos se los llevaron. ¿Quién fue? ¿Quién fue? ¿Qué queremos? ¿Qué queremos? ¿Cuándo? ¿Cuándo? Ahí tenemos a un criminal que supuestamente estaba a la seguridad del pueblo mexicano, el señor Cienfuegos, detenido en California por lavado de dinero y narcotráfico, defendido por los abogados del consulado mexicano. Y desde acá le mandamos un mensaje a Cienfuegos y a todas las personas involucradas en el caso de Ayotzinapa, que no vamos a descansar. ¡Vivos se los llevaron! ¡Vivos se los llevaron! Gracias.
Porque vivos se los llevaron, vivos los queremos. Porque vivos se los llevaron, vivos los queremos.
This is solidarity, y'all. And it won't be solidarity if we can bring other groups from New York City who've been doing this work for 5 to 10 years. And we gotta show them the gratitude and the appreciation for doing it the right way, for doing it the mass line way. Now I had the honor and the privilege to know this next comrade who has helped me and helped Mexicanos Unidos develop ourselves. And I have the privilege of introducing Shaolin Rising and our comrade Gio.
No justice.
No peace.
Fuck these racist ass.
No peace.
No justice.
No peace.
Fuck these racist ass.
No peace.
I gotta start off with fuck the police because I'm from Staten Island. And for those of you who don't know, who don't know, Staten Island is home to the most NYPD of all time, right? So fuck the NYPD, and for those of you who don't know, for those of you who don't know, when Trump was running into presidency, the NYPD endorsed Donald Trump. So one more time, no justice.
No peace.
Fuck these racist ass.
Police.
No justice.
No peace.
Fuck these racist ass police. Yo, so I'm from Shaolin Rising, I'm from Staten Island, and I just want to let y'all know that the material conditions that exist out here in Brooklyn are the same that exist in Port Richmond. It's probably the same that exist in the Bronx, in Queens, and all parts of the world. So we gotta come as one, we gotta show the peace, we gotta show the system that there's nothing stronger than people power. There's nothing stronger than people power. So once again, no justice. Fuck these racist ass.
La migra, la policía, la misma porquería. La migra, la policía, la misma porquería. La migra, la policía, la misma porquería. La migra, la policía, la misma porquería.
Shaolin Rising is here. We also have comrades from Queens, the Bronx, Harlem, Lower East Side. Thank you all for coming out and making the trek to Sunset Park. Now our next speaker is from the Puerto Rican diaspora, and they'll be speaking on that struggle. And if you haven't known, they're trying to privatize energy on the island of Puerto Rico, and there have been major blackouts. And as you all know, Puerto Rico still hasn't fully recovered from the hurricanes that have ravaged it. And it is by design. It is by design that they haven't recovered. Because the United States American government, and that's America with 3 Ks, wants to keep the yoke on Puerto Rico. And we are here to remove it by any means necessary. further ado, I want to call Nikki from New York Boricua Resistance to give us some words. And give it up for New York Boricua Resistance, y'all.
What's up, everyone? I am Nikki, and I'm from New York Boricua Resistance. We are a mass organization based in New York City, made up of the Puerto Rican diaspora and allies for a free, anti-imperialist, and anti-capitalist Puerto Rico. Fuck the 4th of July. As long as sorry, I get very heated with this. We cannot celebrate a colonial holiday as long as the U.S. is occupying Puerto Rico. The U.S. has invaded Puerto Rico since 1898 and has suppressed any form of revolt, rebellion, or even likingness towards Puerto Rican sovereignty. Tactics include making our flag illegal to wave or even own, to sterilize our women, regulate population, use our land to dump toxic waste, and even test the bombs that are being dropped in Palestine. By design, we have seen forced migration of Puerto Ricans into the U.S. to the point where there are more Puerto Ricans living in the United States than there are in Puerto Rico. Colonialism is genocide. Right now, we're seeing our public services being sold off like parts. Most recently, our energy grid was sold off to a foreign company called Luma Energy. Since Luma has taken over at the beginning of June, we have seen hiked up electrical bills when majority of the population is living under the poverty line. They cannot afford those bills. Customer service agents don't even speak Spanish to the majority elderly population that only speaks Spanish. We have also seen thousands of Puerto Ricans without power. And most recently, the Colonial Union, AFL-CIO, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, whose Local 222 that's based in Florida just signed a contract with Luma to export workers to Puerto Rico at double the rate more than unionized Puerto Rican workers are currently being paid. This is why our unions and our workers must be anti-imperialist. Because it is only when the workers of the world unite that we will break our chains. And as for my last note, New York Boricua Resistance is a member of the International League of People's Struggle, which is a coalition of people's movements at a worldwide scale. It is through this coalition that I have been able to meet and learn with comrades from all over the world in their respective struggles. I've been able to meet folks from West Papua who are currently fighting for their sovereignty as they are a colony of Indonesia. I have met and learned from comrades in the Philippines that are waging their own revolution as well. From Venezuela, from Mexico, from Africa. And it's through having these conversations and learning from all of these comrades from the global south, learning the importance of organizing in the belly of the fucking beast. If your work isn't internationalist, it's not the revolutionary. We must unite and fight against the common enemy. And y'all know what that is because y'all are here today. Que viva Puerto Rico libre!
As the comrade said, but the pillar of internationalism is anti-imperialism. You cannot be an internationalist if you are not an anti-imperialist. They go hand in hand. And another thing that goes hand in hand is that there is no liberation for the oppressed masses without a socialist liberation. There is no liberation for the Chicanos, for the Mexicans, for the Puerto Ricans, for the Dominicans, for the black people here in this country, in any country without socialism. Now, like I said before, there are many comrades throughout New York City, many organizations that have been doing this work for a long time, and they've been doing it the right way. Now, our ask for you and our challenge for you, for those of y'all especially, if you've been out on the streets for a year straight, why haven't you joined an organization? Why haven't you created an organization? Why haven't you become organized? Do you just want to mobilize all the time? Now, today is a mobilization. Today is a mobilization. And like I said before, this is a small part of it. And like I have conversations with comrades all the time, this is when you go and you show your work, when you mobilize what you've organized. And that's what we're doing here today. But again, I would be remiss if I didn't get this power, this people power to Sunset Park and didn't do anything with it. So I just wanted to let y'all know that today y'all are gonna be a part of revolutionary action because y'all are amongst revolutionaries. Now this comrade I just met recently, but this comrade has all the passion, all the works, all the heart, all the mind to make this shit work. So without further ado, I do want to introduce Fulano from Take Back the Bronx and from Kiskeya Solidarity to come forward.
Okay, I'm Fulano from Take Back the Bronx, Kiskeya Solidarity. We're here today to show solidarity with the international community of New York City. Dominicans in the Bronx are lacking right now. We are one of the biggest ethnic groups in New York City, but we don't have a unification amongst ourselves. We are here, and y'all know what happened last year in Dykeman. That was wild embarrassing. We're not gonna let that shit go again. Dominicans right now, we have a repressed leftist history of ourselves. The Red Scare didn't only affect America, it was international. The Dominicans were gonna go on a whole contingent with the Cuban folk, and that's really why they all came in '65. All them bodegueros y'all see in Washington Heights, they came over here because they had no choice. They came over here to start all of that. Folks from the Bronx know exactly what imperialism is. Why do you think they're all there? It's the last fucking stop. We're not going to Mount Vernon. We're not going to Mount Kiskeya. We're staying right fucking there. We're gonna make this happen for ourselves. There's a reason everyone's looking to the Bronx. There's a reason they're all forecasting. They know that's the last stronghold. We're gonna hold this shit down because the city's not going anywhere. At the end of the day right now, we're here to say fuck America. We're saying fuck America because we are fighting all these wars for oil, but the next struggles are gonna be for water. Y'all know that's coming right now. In the Dominican Republic, they're actively oppressing us. They're extracting gold at such a rate, it's currently poisoning our rivers. People right now are coming out with crazy diseases, they can't heat their lands. De la tierra se va a cosechar y se va a comer. From the land, you are gonna plant and you're gonna eat. If we're not organizing in a genuine bottom-up structure, hearing the folks, not everyone who could have gone to Parsons, not everyone who could have gone to college, not everyone who's on Instagram, the folks who listen to Univision, the folks who listen to 1010 Wednesday, we laughing at. We need to be speaking to these folks. We need to be in our corners, we need to know our neighbors, and we need to stop being fucking bougie. Fuck the police, viva Mexico, viva Palestina, viva Puerto Rico libre, y viva Kiskeya, y viva Haití.
From Palestine to Mexico, all the wars are about to go. From Palestine to Mexico, all the wars are about to go. Palestine to Mexico,
Palestine to Mexico.
all the wars are about to go.
All the walls have got to go.
Buenas, Imanaya. Soy María y traigo mi solidaridad desde Avia Yala y voy a leer un manifiesto de los inmigrantes malagradecidos. Somos inmigrantes malagradecidos. No le debemos las gracias a los Estados Unidos por estar aquí. Hemos venido o nos trajeron por necesidad, no por propio deseo. La ilusión de la abundancia que proyectan los Estados Unidos se ha construido a mano de la violencia que sus ejércitos han traído a nuestras tierras, a mano de los gobiernos corruptos a quienes les han ayudado a mantenerse en el poder, con las corporaciones con las que trabajan para llevarse las frutas, los minerales y hasta el agua, y sus bancos que nos obligan a endeudarnos. Así avanza los Estados Unidos su poder racista, colonial, genocida, imperialista. El imperialismo expulsa a la gente de sus tierras a través del yugo de la guerra y de la deuda. Por todo esto, no tenemos nada que agradecer porque nos pertenece. Esta violencia nos ha forzado a volvernos migrantes y muchos de nosotros lloramos adoloridos porque sabemos que nunca más podremos regresar. Venimos aquí siguiendo nuestro pan del cada día, que nos ha sido arrebatado y que se acaparan aquí en los Estados Unidos. Un lugar que se ha construido con el trabajo esclavizado de los africanos y sobre la tierra que robaron a las personas indígenas de aquí. No sentiremos agradecimiento por poder estar aquí. Así sea cierto que aquí podemos tener una mejor vida, sabemos lo que nos ha costado, sabemos lo que le ha costado a nuestros pueblos y a nuestras tierras. No dejaremos que las comodidades de aquí nos hagan olvidar estas verdades. Sabemos por qué venimos o por qué nos trajeron, por eso estamos aquí, pero nunca seremos ciudadanos orgullosos con papeles o sin papeles. Un aplauso. Algo de ánimo. No queremos encajar para que nos admiren por nuestras habilidades de rompernos la espalda y ser como los bueyes más fuertes del rancho o su plantación. No estaremos orgullosos por trabajar más que las otras personas a quien este poder imperial también les ha robado sus vidas y sus tierras y que nos pone a unos en contra de otros para pelear por sus migajas. No seremos los perfectos inmigrantes respetuosos de la ley, buenos trabajadores. No nos importa si ustedes creen que somos ilegales. Somos mal agradecidos. No pillaremos a nuestras hijas para que sean los trofeos del sueño americano imperialista. No serán tus dreamers. No serán tus perfectos ciudadanos en trajes de uniformes militares. No te venderemos a nuestros hijos a cambio de los papeles. Nos resiente que se nos obliga a vivir en situaciones que convierten a nuestros hijos en intérpretes de sus burocracias, en sus escuelas, el doctor, las oficinas de los abogados para poder vivir aquí y recibir los servicios básicos que ustedes nos deben. Nuestros ancestros no soñaron que estemos en nuestras tierras. Somos malagradecidos. No permitiremos que escondan su racismo violento con celebraciones falsas de nuestra cultura. Hasta eso nos quieren quitar. No actuaremos para ustedes.
From New York to Gaza,
From New York to Gaza,
globalize the intifada.
Globalize the intifada.
From New York to Gaza,
New York to Gaza.
globalize the intifada.
Globalize the intifada.
From New York to Gaza,
New York to Gaza.
globalize the intifada.
Globalize the intifada.
Now there are leaders amongst leaders, and there are a lot of leaders here with you today. It is an honor for me to introduce a comrade of mine, somebody who I look up to extremely, a figure of what feminism should look like, not capitalistic, not imperialistic, but feminism for women, feminism for oppressed women, women of color. It is an honor to introduce Nerdine from Within Our Lifetime Palestine.
Thank you for that amazing and warm introduction. I look up to you. I look up to the people here. Spending July 4th not celebrating U.S. imperialism, not celebrating slavery and genocide and colonialism, but standing with the people, standing with the Mexican community in this neighborhood, standing with the Palestinian people resisting, standing with Puerto Rico and Colombia and Black liberation. people. This year on May 15th, we organized 50,000 people marching in the neighboring neighborhood of Bay Ridge, a historically Palestinian, Arab, and Muslim community. We marched to resist 73 years of the ongoing Nakba, or the catastrophe, when Zionist armed groups ethnically cleansed over 500 Palestinian villages and expelled 800,000 of the indigenous population during the establishment of the so-called State of Israel. This has caused widespread displacement of the Palestinian people, and Palestinian refugees continue to make up the largest refugee population with over 10 million worldwide. 1 in 3 refugees is Palestinian. Even though we're one of the world's largest and oldest refugee populations, we're often excluded from the discussion on migration due to the so-called divisive nature of our struggle. But let me be clear that the only reason our struggle is deemed divisive is not because it's complicated or because it's a religious conflict, as they often try to depict, but because to accept and support our struggle is to directly combat U.S. imperialism and oppose U.S. hegemony. The majority of our people don't live in our homeland, but in refugee camps in Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, and in exile around the world. Many of those who have managed to stay within the small area that has been designated for Palestinians are internal refugees from other cities in Palestine. And it's been these expelled refugee Palestinians who have been the vanguard of our struggle against Zionism, keeping the struggle alive from all parts of Palestine, despite attempts from all sides to kill and silence them. It's no coincidence that Israel and the U.S. have taken on the same tactics. They are perfect mirror images of each other, built as settler colonial states through the genocide of indigenous people that they believed would go quietly into the night. But just as the indigenous people of the Americas have continued the fight for over 500 years, so too have the Palestinians resisted the last 70 years of genocide by any means necessary. We must ask, why do our people go thousands of miles to move their homes or face bullets from occupying forces? How does the Zionist entity continue to occupy our lands and displace our people after 70 years? The root cause is imperialism and colonialism. It was British and French imperialism that divided the Middle East after World War I and financed and supported Zionism. And it is U.S. imperialism that has sustained Israel to the tune of $3.1 billion annually in foreign aid in order to safeguard imperialism's hold on the region. Zionism is imperialism's watchdog, not only in the Middle East, but in occupied lands in North and South America. The Zionist enemy preyed upon the people to further the goals of imperialism for decades. U.S. intervention in Latin America is well known and well documented. But the role of the Zionist state to suppress popular movements in Latin America has been purposefully suppressed. The U.S.-backed dictator Somoza killed 50,000 people in Nicaragua, while 98% of his weapons were provided by Israel. Israel was the biggest arms dealer to the U.S.-backed death squads in Guatemala in the 80s. Israel provided weapons to the Contras, Pinochet, Salvadoran death squad, Trujillo in the Dominican Republic, the military dictatorship in Argentina, and now the fascist Bolsonaro in Brazil is developing closer relations with the Zionist enemy than ever before. The U.S.-Israeli relationship with dictator-backed regimes continues all over the world. And as we all know, the story of dispossession, colonialism, ethnic cleansing, and imperialism is not a story unique to Palestine. All around the world, from Brazil to Mexico to the Philippines to the internal colonies of the United States to Palestine, we see a story of imperialist domination and people's struggle. And as we speak, thousands of people whose communities have been destroyed, millions people whose lands have been plundered by decades of U.S. intervention and economic terrorism are acting in resistance. The struggle of migrants and the struggle of Palestinian resistance are not unlike one another. Separated by the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, and the resistance of the Latin American peoples and the Palestinians have these common experiences, not out of abstract coincidences or happenings, but for the simple fact that we have a common enemy. The enemy of the Palestinian people are the enemy of the people of the land we stand on now. As Palestinian freedom fighter Layla Khalid once said in the Philippines, as long as the imperialists globalize their system, we will globalize as well. Our demand is clear and can be summarized in one word: return. We will return to take back what has been stripped of us. We will take back what has been stripped of us by imperialism and Zionism. We will return to our homes not only in Ramallah and Khan Yunis, but in Jerusalem and Jaffa. And as migrants and refugees, we will drive out imperialism, return to our homelands, and build a new society based on justice and dignity. The ability for the Palestinian people to create a future free from colonial domination is directly related to the ability of people here to create such a society. It will not be a footnote in a United Nations report or a statistic in the next human rights documentary. Palestinian return means revolution by any means necessary, not just for the Palestinian and Arab people, but a confrontation with the imperialist machine that stomps the life out of the people from Honduras, Guatemala, El Salvador, Palestine, Yemen, and Syria. The cutting of the chains around the throats of the Latin American peoples means that the chain will be easier for us to cut around ours. They can shoot us, bomb us, starve us, blockade us, strangle our economies, and poison our land. They can cut our olive trees down in Palestine, and they can cut our forests down in Brazil. But the people of this land have demonstrated that 500 years of colonial plundering cannot stop the resistance of oppressed people. And Palestinian history over the past century shows us this too. In fact, the past few months of resistance in Gaza shows us this. The shared history of our people on both sides of the world shows us that while they can do all of this to us, it has never and will never stop us from taking back what is ours. We didn't cross the borders crossed us. And from Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go. From Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go. Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go. Palestine to Mexico, all the walls have got to go.
Give it up one more time for within our lifetime. Understand that it is our duty and our responsibility, our job as people who are fighting for Palestine, to make sure this country turns inside out. And we give this land back to the indigenous. Now I want to talk about NAFTA. I think it's important for y'all to understand NAFTA and its imperialism and what the economic ramifications of NAFTA were for the Mexican people. You must understand that in New York City, you're probably going to find a lot of Mexicans from Puebla. We call it Puebla, York. Now you have to understand that that is not by just like some imaginary like coincidence. No, it happened around 1994, around the 90s that our people started migrating here, a little earlier in the 80s. But that had to do with the fact that Mexico started to deprivatize their agricultural system. They were given subsidies, they were given seeds, they were given fertilizer to the farmers. And then we signed NAFTA, and we had to cut all that aid. But you know who didn't cut aid to their farmers? The United States of America. And you know how much aid they give their farmers? About $10 billion a year. Now how can farmers from Mexico who don't get any help from their government compete producers in the United States. Now you have to understand, we are hijos de maíz. We come from the corn. But y'all don't understand that the majority of corn getting sold in Mexico comes from the United States of America. What kind of twisted fantasy is that? It's no fantasy at all. That's the design of the capitalists. And that's what we're living through. Now y'all have to understand, maybe y'all are guilty of this, walking by homeless people and calling them the Mexican. But to understand that these people come from Central America, Latin America, the Caribbean, Mexico, yes. And you have to understand that they're here violently displaced, sleeping in the streets, sometimes for 6 years, 8 years, 10 years. They've made this a profession. And they've come to just be okay with living in the streets. They think they deserve this because they didn't work hard enough or whatnot. But understand, they are violently displaced. There are unhoused indigenous Chiapanecos, indigenous Mexica people, indigenous Quiche people. There's indigenous people from Ecuador, all concentrated in the South Bronx. We have to understand what they're doing here. How did they get here? How did they get to start sleeping on these streets? We have to understand that, y'all, and understand that this immigration system that y'all see, the one that many people thought they could change by electing Biden, as you can see, is just by design. If I'm not mistaken, there's about more than 500,000 deportations that have already been done since the start of Biden, and it's only been 7 months. Now we have to understand that these people are being violently displaced and then being violently deported back to their country where they will be raped, murdered, and live also on the street with way less than they have here. The conditions are different in other countries. Now, another contingent that didn't make it out today was the Haitian contingent. Understand, ICE is a BLM issue, is a black liberation issue, because right now, Haitians are the ones being targeted and Haitians are the ones being deported. And if you didn't know where Biden made that stupid ass announcement that they were gonna have a moratorium on deportations, he made it in Little Haiti in Miami. That's where he made that announcement. A slap in the face to the Haitians, who now have an imperialist dictator also being propped up by the United States of America. See, you have to understand, my people, is that we're not just fighting for ourselves. I'm not just fighting for my material conditions, I'm fighting for the material conditions of everywhere in the world. This is our duty, y'all. We're not protesters. I'm not no fucking activist. Don't call me an activist, it irks me. I'm not an advocate. I don't advocate for nobody. I'm a revolutionary. I'm a fucking revolutionary, and our goal here is to start revolution. It's not just gonna happen. It's not just gonna happen. Like Chase said, it's not just the apple that falls from the tree when it's ripe. You gotta make it fall. And we gotta organize towards that, y'all. Because if anything showed y'all from the last uprising, it wasn't organized. And so it subsided. But if you organize one and you start to initiate revolution, we can keep it going. We can have supply systems, we can have mutual aid systems, we can have teachings, education, we can teach ourselves. That college, that university system, fuck that. That's not where you get your education. I got the majority of my education on these streets that you're about to walk through today. I got my education on these streets that y'all are about to take today. And I thank y'all all for coming out here today. It is a great privilege to be among the masses. It is a privilege to walk with you. Understand that when you do the work, that this is a privilege. Now, I just want to talk a lot about Sunset Park. There's a reason why we brought y'all here today. You have to understand the conditions here. 9% live in overcrowded households in this community. 9% live in overcrowded households means there's 3 or more people per room. And the COVID pandemic ravaged this community where 38% are service workers. And if 38 are service workers and they didn't go to work, you best believe they're pending eviction. So understand that when you walk through this neighborhood today, this working class barrio, that there are people hungry, unhoused, poor, and they have no recourse, no resources, and they get their back turned to them. Now again, like I said before in Spanish, it is not the police that keeps us safe. And this is something I've had to explain very in depth with the masses. They don't all understand it. It's okay. This is part of our education. Remember that we do this shit by default, the capitalist way. Because it's ingrained in our education. And if you think you're not a capitalist and you went to public school in New York City or in anywhere in the country, trust me, you are a capitalist because you are unbiased by it. You are biased by it. But we can unlearn these things together. Now again, back to this community. We've been fighting developments. They think that this is a community to be developed. This is not no community for others to develop. We are developing this community as we speak right now. As we speak right now, this community is being developed. I want to thank y'all out here today. For real. Because one time we got into it with the Parks Department in this park, and a lot of the vendors here didn't understand why. They thought we were just throwing away their opportunity. They thought we were just going to get them threatened and targeted. But now we show them that we come back with friends. And we come back with allies and accomplices and people who are going to turn into revolutionaries and come out here every time there's a need to defend street vendors. And there are revolutionaries here who are going to take the streets every time Palestine needs defending, every time the black lives are being taken, which is every day. This is what we're out here today, y'all, to show the people what people power really means. And it's not the vote. Y'all all today voted with your feet by coming out here and denouncing imperialism by just even coming over here. So I want to thank you all today. I do have a piece of writing, not mine, that I would like y'all to repeat with me. I do this every time at the plaza. It's just to build camaraderie. It's to build communalism. It's called In La Kesh. If y'all know this one, please, again, everybody is invited to follow along. It starts like this. Repeat after me, please, if you can. Tú eres mi otro yo.
Tú eres mi otro yo.
You are my other me.
You are my other me.
Si te hago daño a ti,
Si te hago daño a ti,
if I do harm to you,
if I do harm to you,
me hago daño a mí mismo.
me hago daño a mí mismo.
I do harm to myself.
I do harm to myself.
Si te amo y respeto,
Si te amo y respeto,
if I love and respect you,
if I love and respect you,
me amo y respeto yo.
me amo y respeto yo.
I love and respect myself.
I love and respect myself.
Omateo. Omateo is the god of duality in the Mexica chronology. And today, you know, y'all were here in Plaza Tonatiuh. Plaza Tonatiuh is our deity of the sun who blesses us every day. And then there's Tlaloc, the god of rain. And then there's Quetzalcoatl, who saved the people from the fifth sun. Today, y'all are gonna meet Quetzalcoatl. Today, y'all gonna become revolutionaries. Today, y'all will become something different. This is not your average protest today, y'all. This is different. This is all struggles. This is not just about the Mexicanos Unidos. This is not Mexicanos Unidos led. Now this is being led by y'all. Because we're together and we're here in solidarity. Now just to finish, y'all. The way we do this work and the spirit that we do it with is that es todo para todos y nada para nosotros. Everything for everyone and nothing for ourselves. We don't ever try to profit off of this movement. We don't ever try to profit off of what we do. We don't want anything for what we do. We just want to change the world. And we really want to make it happen soon. Because there's a big sense of urgency. And I get caught up sometimes in what we do. Because I've come across so many people who right now who are sitting in pending eviction. You know, people who have no food, no money. They have families depending on them in Mexico and Central America and in the Caribbean. And they have no recourse here. And so today, y'all, is about them. It's not about us, and what we do today, y'all, is all about the people and what the material needs of this community needs. And it needs housing. It needs housing, it needs better education, it needs more health care. Street vendors need to get the fucking yoke taken off their neck. These are people who get they get fucking billed $1,000 every ticket that they get. They get their stuff thrown out. Not even just by the police, they get stuff thrown out by all the time by just malicious people who come and just kick their shit for no reason. These are people just out here working. And we work hard over here. We do work hard. But for a long time, we've been told to work hard and keep our heads down and just keep it pushing. And now, the future, again, I I am one of many children of immigrants, and we are here to reclaim the land for our ancestors and to bring it to the people who oppressed our ancestors and who raped, pillaged, and murdered them. And that's all white supremacy. But it's white supremacy fueled by capitalism, and that means that they have endless amount of resources. So here we have to pool ours together in order to make it work. Now I want to thank y'all out for coming out today. We're going to keep it pushing with chants. The vendors are just finishing up, and the vendors are going to march with us. And today we're going to take the streets and just be in solidarity among the masses on July 4th. We don't recognize these borders, y'all. These are colonial borders. We don't recognize these borders.
From the river to the sea.
un gran consigna de Shut it down! Bikers, clear.
El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Un pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Unido jamás será vencido. No tiene frontera, la lucha migrante no tiene frontera, la lucha migrante no tiene frontera, la lucha migrante no tiene fronteras. ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Viva, viva México! ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Viva, viva Palestina! ¡Palestina será libre! ¡Palestina será libre! ¡Durante nuestra vida! ¡Palestina será libre! Durante nuestra vida, México será libre. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Free, free, free Palestine. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. You
Salah, go back home. Palestine is on solo. Stop the U.S. war machine. From Palestine to the Philippines. Stop the U.S. war machine. From Palestine to Mexico. All the walls have got to go.
For them, and we will burn as much Israeli flags we can. Every day, every second, we'll burn the heat in our bones. Thank you.
Yes, all these lands will be free. Now we have to understand this is Lenape land, this is Canarsie land, but it ain't chance that tie these struggles together. We don't show solidarity by just chanting things, all right? The chants are cute, they're cool, but that ain't where solidarity ends. And I just want to shout out DTP, Wool, Take Back the Bronx for the solidarity they've shown us, because they've gone above and beyond the solidarity that they show us, and it's a lot behind the scenes that you don't see. It's not just amplifying our posts and tagging us, it's a lot more. They help us with logistical support, they help us with a lot. The way we develop. Now today, y'all, today is with a heavy heart that I say we didn't accomplish everything that we wanted to, but that's okay. We have some information that y'all didn't. This is about keeping y'all safe.
Yeah!
I just want to say that we have to understand also the relationship between the indigenous and black lives. We have to understand that the indigenous people here were wiped out with guns and germs, and so they had to. We're still here, but they had to. It was because of that. We're still here. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos.
Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir! Allahu Akbar! Takbir!
¡Que viva México! ¡Que viva México! ¡Que viva México! ¡Que viva Puerto Rico libre! ¡Que viva Puerto Rico libre! Y'all, it's important that we're never sad about the oppressed. It's important that we're angry about it. Because a lot of these people want us to be sad about what happens to the undocumented people. Sad about the bombings in Gaza. No, we're angry. We're angry. We're angry about the loss of black lives. We're angry at the denigration of our people. We're angry about these conditions. Now the question is, what are we going to do to change them?
Fight back!
We gotta fight back. Now I appreciate everybody coming out here. You are all comrades of mine. Because I don't want to struggle with nobody who don't want to come to my working class barrio and march on my streets and empower my people. And everybody that's not here today, that's noted. And we already knew that we didn't have popular support, because what we want to do ain't popular at all. And if it was, it'd be happening already. So understand, y'all, that it is our duty as revolutionaries to make it happen and build popular support while we're doing it. Now today, y'all, that was our intention. But we won't commit reactionary suicide. We are here to commit revolutionary suicide only, never reactionary. Meaning that we dictate the terms of how we go out. Alright? Now we have to understand, yeah, and I mentioned suicide, and it's important that we keep that in mind and check in on our friends and our brothers and sisters and our comrades. Because we are all human, and we all get overwhelmed by things. We all go through things, and it's important that we check in on each other. That's solidarity. And it's important, y'all, last distinction is that there is charity and there is solidarity. If your mutual aid is charity, I don't fucking want it and don't bring it to my barrio. We do solidarity only. Now after this, y'all, I don't want to just disperse y'all and have y'all go to the train. I end up going home and feeling weak. But I do want to tell y'all today and challenge yourselves to become part of an organization. Apply to be a member to an organization. Make your own organization. If you don't like organization, make your own. But understand that there is a way to do this, y'all, and it's with the masses, and you never can ever walk ahead of them. You have to walk with them.
And I want to clarify, while we don't have the mainstream support, we don't have the news channels reporting the truth about Palestine, reporting the truth about kids in cages, right? They only care when Trump is in office, right? They only care about Mexican and Palestinian children when it's a Republican putting them in jail, when it's a Republican financing their killing, financing their imprisonment. And now that we have a Democrat in office, everybody wants to be quiet. Everybody wants to turn a blind eye, like a genocide is not happening right before their eyes. Everybody wants to eat hot dogs today instead of be out here with the people. So as Brian said, those who are not here are noted. Those who were here for Palestine when they thought it was a trend, but are not here fighting every single day before the bombs drop on Gaza, before the houses are demolished in Silwan, that's noted. But what's also noted is while we don't have the mainstream support, we do have the support of the people. Palestinian flags, Colombian flags, Mexican flags, Puerto Rican flags. Out of the many that I see today, and we marched in Sunset Park, as many of you know, historically Mexican neighborhood, right next to Bay Ridge, where we've been building for Palestinians within our lifetime for the last 7 years. And next week, we're gonna march somewhere in Brooklyn too, so keep an eye out on July 11th. We're having our next protest for Palestine. Mark your calendars from now. We're gonna come out with information in a flyer at WOL Palestine on Instagram. You can follow us there, and we got you for the next protest. This fight cannot end here. This fight is not just when Silwan is being demolished. It's not just when Palestine's on the news. It's not just when Trump is the one putting kids in cages. This fight has started ever since the beginning of the existence of the US, ever since the beginning of the existence of Israel, and it will keep going until their downfall and until total and complete liberation for all of our people. Thank you for coming out today, and remember July 11th for our next action. Free Palestine! Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Free Palestine!
Free Mexico!
Free Mexico!
Free Mexico!
Free Mexico!
Free, free, free Puerto Rico.
Free, free, free Puerto Rico.
Free indigenous people. Free, free indigenous people.
Free indigenous people.
Free, free black lives.
Free black lives.
Free black lives.
Free black lives.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
All our lands will be free.
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 Make some noise for